Welcome to Living the Dream Iowa Life. I'm your host, Hannah Nuss, and each weekday we'll share enthusiasm for what's possible and dive into the stories of Iowans living their dream lives right here in the heartland. Whether you're chasing a big goal or just looking for a little inspiration, we've got you covered. Let's change the world together. This is Living the Dream Iowa Life. Let's go. Heyo, welcome to Living the Dream Iowa Life podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Nuss, and I am so excited to be here. Today we are going to break down creativity, a muscle that we just don't flex enough, right? And I think the conversation usually sounds like this. I'm not creative. I'm not creative. We may not be in touch with our creative sides, but we are all creative in some way, and everyone's path to creativity looks a little bit different. And guess what? You may never become, Picasso, but painting might be a very exciting medium for you. I never plan on becoming a world-renowned pianist. But the thought of strumming along on a keyboard, on a piano, sounds really wonderful to me. And I think mostly because I love, one of my favorite feelings in the world is when words are in flow and I am just typing. I'm just typing. I'm in it. I got the words. They're flowing right out of me. I'm putting them into this machine, and the machine's saying, yes, let's go. And we're all there. We're all there. We're all there. So creativity to me is just a muscle we're not used to flexing. It may be that you didn't have a childhood where you were free to flex that. And that may be why you feel so disconnected from that. However, just because you're not creative, you don't consider yourself creative, that does not mean that you did not have a lovely childhood. It just means you may be creative with a different side of your brain than what you consider normal creativity. Okay? Huh? And so I think the question today is, what could creativity look like in your life? What could creativity look like in your life right now? And in our household, creativity is one of the more important things that we put kind of on a pedestal, right next to athletic expression, because that is a part of our family's creative expression. Chosen, for sure. It's something that we just have grown up around. Both my husband and I were athletes, and we come from athletic families. So it's something our kids have always grown up around. It definitely is something that their bodies are inclined to do. They have figured their bodies out a little bit faster than some. They have a natural athletic reaction to situations. It's in probably their DNA in some senses. And so we like to give them more opportunities to experiment with that, experience that, do even more with that, build on that skill. And one of the things that we realized when we're talking about how our life is structured and what we want for our children and what we want for our life, we're kind of talking about how to give them more experiences with this gift, this athletic ability, more time to develop that gift, more training to get into that. How do we add more to our life right now? Because we don't want to add more to our end of the day right now. We're already missing some family meals. We don't love that. We're already missing time together. We don't want that. So how are we going to balance that? And then we want you to explore things, make videos, write, have time to do those things. We don't want these things to be a stressor. We want you to be able to creatively explore life, write and draw and paint and do all these amazing things. We want you to see artists. We want you to be around creatives. We want that to be something that's etched into your line because of where the world is going. Yeah. And I just want to say that I need to find the podcast where I predicted that there will be something, and this was probably in 2019, 2020, there will be something that does all of this for us, and people will be able to fake what used to take professionals. It used to be really easy to spot who was an amateur and who was a professional, and now it's not because of a combination of things. One, Canva, right? You're pretty close. If you're good at Canva, and it doesn't take long to get good at it like it used to with the other platforms that existed. It used to take you actually going to school to be a graphic designer to know how to put graphics and words and boxes and pictures all together. Oh my! We must go to school for 2 years minimum to understand this program. And someone, a woman, of course, came in and said, that's silly. Why would we do it that way? Everyone should be graphic designers because everyone needs these things. And out of that little birth bubble of an idea came Canva. Boom! And all of a sudden, people have these professional, and some people aren't great at it, but it still looks better than what they were doing before. These professional graphic design elements, and then you mix that with ChatGPT, who can write every single social post for you. You don't have to put any idea into it at all. You can say, hey, I want to sell sugar scrub today. Write me a post. And if you get real wild, you could say, I want to sell sugar scrub today. My company does X, Y, and Z. We are focused on sell my sugar scrub. Boom, it'll write you 10 posts if you really want them. And then you have this canned, ready to go, perfect post that you can just post and put in there. And for the average watcher of all these things, just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, like before, when we could tell who wasn't great, now we don't know. We don't know if what they're producing is junk or not. Unfortunately, we won't know until we are convinced by whatever ad copy they put on their ad to buy this thing, and it shows up on our doorstep and it is a complete mess. This mess. No. What was I thinking? Then we're like, luckily I got it from Shein. It was only $2. No big deal. Until you have a Shein shame corner. We go, oh, it was only $2. Holy crap, there's a $200 pile sitting over there. What did I do wrong? Well, you allowed yourself to accept crap. And because it was so cheap, you went, meh. But it's not cheap over time. And we have to buy it again. Right? It's bad. It's bad quality. We're going through more. We're appreciating less. It's a cycle. And there's a way to fake. There's definitely a way, and I'm sure that most of the major brands that you're following have these automated type messages running most of their ad copy, and they are algorithmically going after you. Now it's interest-based versus people sharing based. But they're finding you, by the way. They're finding you. You know that. Oh my gosh, I just looked at that on my app. Now it's in my feed everywhere. Everywhere. And every price point too. Right? There's the Sheen version of that same thing. There's the real version of that same thing. There's the deal version of that same thing. And these are kind of automated and just being pushed out to you. And because you're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, we might not even notice what creativity is. We might not even notice what real writing is, what real art is, what real anything is. And this is not a shame on social media. This is a holy crap. If you wanted to build something, if you said, I want to be creative, Hannah, I'm listening to you right now, and I'm going to be creative. I totally get it. Yeah, what you're saying about your girls, that's so smart. Let's do that. We got to be creative. What do I do? Everything. There's so many free platforms out there to project your voice, to create a narrative around who you are, and the ability to stand out and be something real is something that is going to matter soon. Okay? Because we're just starting to notice, holy crap, I don't even know what's real anymore. Have you had a friend say that to you? I don't even know what's a real video, what's a real post. Yeah, it's tough. And soon, somewhere down the very soon road, we will be back in this place where we want humans. And the time to start building whatever that narrative is now. And so we've been pushing our kids more creativity, more expansion, more opportunities to kind of follow where your heart leads. We got their Halloween costumes, which it was hard to find. Okay. There are not children, Skylar sister costumes, right? Not many adolescent children are that obsessed with their experience with Hamilton. Our children are. And I will say that it is probably one of the best investments that I have made in my children yet, because they have not stopped performing the soundtrack. Okay? They put on their dresses, they start the little video on their computer. They're not posting these videos anywhere. They just exist on their computer, which is the greatest home video montage that I could ever have. I don't know that there's a greater blessing in life than videos of your children when they are young. Videos and pictures and sounds of their little voices and their little ideas and them playing. And so they've been playing. They've been in these dresses playing there for Halloween. We have to do some major alterations on our youngest dress because it's big. It's an adult dress. She is not old enough for an adult dress. And so that's where we're at. They have time to play. They have time to get creative because our world is going to need people, literal humans who can do that. And it's such an amazing time because you can balance and play with all of these things. You don't have to be like me. When I started, Canva did not exist. Luckily, I went to graphic design school. Everything about Adobe still sucks. By the way, still super hard. I knew it because I went to school for it for 2 years, and it still sucked. It was still so hard to use, so ridiculous. So ridiculous. Nothing about it is good. Sorry. Not sorry. I trained on it. I actually trained for 4 years because even my public relation graphic design class had it. And shortly after I graduated college, the internet happened. No, the internet didn't happen, but social media happened. And that really changed the landscape of public relations marketing. And we didn't learn about about that in school. By the way, yeah, that's a nice 4-year education that's completely wasted because I learned about newspaper ads and television commercials. Yeah. Both formats that do not exist anymore, really. So I came in with this creative knack and I still struggled so much. Everything about everything that I was doing was so unpolished and so unprofessional. And I was just making it up as I went. That was 7 years ago. I now have a better understanding of how to utilize the tools that are in my tool belt, right? With Canva, with ChatGPT, with different AI models. Like, how can they help me as someone who works by themselves utilize it, expand my creativity because I am the only one here. But I love to write and I love to actually create. I love utilizing Canva and making graphic design elements in a way that doesn't make me want to pull off all of my fingernails instead of endure this pain. Like, Adobe is that bad. I'm so sorry. I'm not sorry. We deserve something better because everyone who has anything to say deserves opportunities to say it in a way that looks lovely. Okay? That builds that professional look. And Canva gives us that. And you, me, everyone, as a consumer, we have a hard time kind of figuring out now what's real, what's not, what's good, what's bad, what's cheap, what's value. And so the creation of professional narratives, personal narratives, real humans behind actual brands will be a big deal. Okay. And how do we do that? Well, through mediums like podcasting, through mediums, and even then, the amount of videos of dupes of people taking other people's podcasts and using AI to generate a different version of that, or piecing together the audio to get them to say something, some sort of ad or something like that. And now even some of our retailers don't even have quality products on there. Those are also dupes and fakes, and boo, it's scary. And yeah, it's really a great world to be able to sell on a major distributor. It is. That's so great that they have that engine working. But it's also a very, very crowded, loud landscape. And almost at this point, or at a point in the very near future, will lend less creativity than more because of how, right? Like, we want to build the best thing. Ooh, we want to bring in the most money. We want to have buildings everywhere. This is going to be the biggest, greatest thing that's ever existed. And that's awesome. Yes, let's do that. Let's do that with our companies. But at the same time, we're sort of building to undercut everyone else and building in a way that really isn't sustainable for human life. We shouldn't be consuming this much. And we should be looking at real humans and creativity and art and the wonderment of all of that. And so, what does creativity look like in your life? For us, we took our kids out of regular school system and began homeschooling, and that really gave them a good majority of their day to play, to create, to be in my living room right now singing, to build our familial bond tighter. Most of their time is spent with their parents. Because, yeah, school and friends and all of that is super cool. And we still have play dates and extracurriculars and plenty of times when we are seeing our friends. But home life and the values and the way that we are building life together is of utmost importance. And so we just flip that script a little bit for what works for our life and the things that we value. And there's nothing wrong. I would say we actually have the best school system in the state of Iowa, without question. There's nothing wrong with that environment for them, but we just wanted more play, more creativity, more expansion of their gifts, more time spent on those things. And so we are very blessed to be able to give that to our family and give that to our children right now. And so we took that leap, and it really has been wonderful to watch them play in creeks and ride their bikes and feel super cool when they get to do their school in a coffee shop one day. And almost as if they're operating like how they will in college before they get to college. So it won't be, they'll have practiced it for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years before they get to that point. They'll have been able to work in different environments. They'll have been able to self-propel in their schoolwork, which is something that is obviously vital now, especially the fewer and fewer classes that you have in person, the fewer and fewer professors that you're probably ever going to even meet. And even then, professors aren't pushing you forward. You got to figure it out. And, my college experience, I would say the first year I did okay. The second year I had to kind of kick myself in the butt and go, okay, you got to get this thing figured out, because there's nobody here to say this grade needs to be this, you need to take this class, you need to do this to do this. Like, you got to figure that out. And, we're trying to build a world where our kids already have that figured out. They're already doing things that look like what school looks like, if they should choose to go to college, but also they're doing things that look like what our future looks like. That need, that call for creatives, people who still know how to write, people who know cursive, people who create, period. People who trust their gifts and know what they are and have spent time developing them, ample time. And yeah, it's been really amazing to watch, just to see how creativity builds. And so that brings us to wrapping all of this up. Creativity is always going to build. So it really matters not what the medium is. So if you're going, Hannah, I've never been creative, what sounds exciting to you? Okay. I will tell you, I have not been creative in my adult life prior to doing all of this. I would say, yeah, once in a while I got to go to a bigger marketing meeting where they asked us to create our own campaigns, and that was really exciting, and I get really excited about that. Or when I have to reimagine a strategy or a workflow for an office, I get really excited about that, and I'll obsess about it until we fix and find the problem. And that kind of is where my creative genius comes in. I love assessing a situation and finding a way to fix the problem, finding a way to win if we haven't been. These are the things that I obsess and tinker over. These are the things. And so I I wasn't doing anything creative outside of once in a while getting to do those things. But for the most part, I was just sitting in my gray cubicle. I don't know. I don't even know what I was doing. I don't know. Typing press releases and helping make sure there's a poster about not having your phone out in the doctor's office when the doctor comes in, or even having meetings about whether or not we should have a sign saying that they shouldn't have their phones out when the doctor comes in. And if we do, should we have a statewide sign that. Anyways, I wasn't creative. And when I said, I want to do something, I've not really been creative since I was a kid. I can't remember doing much. What do I want to do? I said I wanted to write. And someone asked me the other day, why writing? I don't know that it's writing, but I have always loved storytelling. And writing is just such a fun medium because I love words so much. I just love words. One of my favorite moments in my life was third grade when someone taught me all of the swear words. And I figured out that there were more words that were not in play in this lifetime. How could I have missed out on this many words? What? A whole different language that I didn't understand. Beautiful. And I have always loved words. I've always loved telling stories, whether that was through playwrights as a child or through stories that I got to write in the second grade. Like, I loved creating in that way. So I guess writing just seemed like the most natural call. I had always loved physical books. I had always loved reading. And so writing just kind of made sense because I loved storytelling and I loved the medium so much prior. And so it became writing. Writing did not flow right away at all. It was a struggle. And because writing wasn't flowing, this is big here. So if you're taking notes, but you're driving, don't take notes while you're driving. Maybe pull over and do this right now, but write this down so you remember it. If you are going to do something creative, discipline is all that matters. Okay? Does not matter what it is. I said that I wanted it to be writing. I could not get into a disciplined flow writing at all. And so I said, okay, I love words. I love talking. I also love podcasts. Maybe I could podcast. And for whatever reason, that discipline stuck. And then when I would turn around to go write something, it was so much easier because I was writing on the words that I had already spoken. And so now really all of my spoken words informs all of my written words. So each of my books are based off of my podcast seasons. And yeah, that's a wonderful life. And that's something that we wouldn't have found had I not found something to be disciplined in. I was not creative, but we can create a discipline around any creative act. And you might get it wrong. It was not writing for me. It was not. Over time, it was, but that was not the initial kind of creative spark that got me going. It was spoken word. And then I played around with creativity more. I got some watercolors. I experiment and brought to life different things that I was seeing when I was doing yoga or when I was meditating. Like I started kind of drawing those things and I could see those so clearly. And so I got to play in that medium a little bit. Am I a watercolor artist today? No. Do I have a couple of watercolors? I have some charcoals too. Some charcoals, some things that I have played along with. Yes. So great. So much fun. Never have I ever thought about utilizing any of that because really it's just another source of creativity for me. And I don't know, maybe eventually I utilize it for something, but for right now, for this exact moment in time, it's just for me. Just another way to expand and create and keep following where my feet lead me when it comes to that. And I love that my kids get to experience that they get to follow even more creativity than they might have before, that they get to expand in their day to day, and that I know what that looks like. I know what they're doing. I'm not getting a weekly report from a teacher and a twice a year touch base telling me how they're doing. I know how they're doing because I'm with them and we're doing it together. And that's such a beautiful thing. And it's been such a blessing for all of our creativity. So, I don't know. Let's try something creative. But it's got to be something that sticks. And if you get through 2 weeks of it and you're just like, I hate this, what else sounds fun? Because it definitely should be stemming from fun. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world. Dang it, my mouse was right on there.